Chapter 66-86. In this case, they certainly didn't dare to refute Charlie's words. This person expressed his opinion, and others also echoed it. At this time, everyone was willing to spend money to avoid disaster. Not to mention them, even Matt, the pimp broker, was the same. The reason why he was willing to take out $1 billion to take Tawana's life was to keep the secret for these people and let them feel at ease. So, Charlie said, "Well, I won't ask for more. Each of you guys should pay $100 million as mental compensation. As for Matt, you are the instigator of hiring a killer. So you should pay a little more. Originally, you planned to pay $1 billion to solve this problem. Now that the problem has been solved, you still pay $1 billion, which means that you didn't spend a penny of money. And I won't bother you about what you did." Others had no objection to the asking price of $100 million. For them, $100 million could solve Tawana's threat, and they would not be held accountable by Charlie and Steve. It was already a very cost-effective. So the gang agreed immediately, fearing that Charlie would regret it again. Matt was a little depressed. Others only paid $100 million. But he had to pay $10 billion, which was really painful. But even though he felt pain, he had become Steve's lackey. So he naturally didn't dare to disobey Charlie, so he immediately said, "Don't worry, Mr. Wade. I can take out $1 billion at any time." Tawana was a little shocked at this time. She didn't expect that Charlie was ready to ask for more than $2 billion from these people as soon as he opened his mouth. Moreover, if this money was given to her, she would not dare to accept it. So she whispered to Charlie, "Mr. Wade, I can't accept this money." Charlie nodded. Originally, this money was not given directly to you. Tawana was a little embarrassed. And it seemed that she was a little self-indulgent. Charlie said to these people at this time, 30% of the money you promised will be paid directly to Tawana. And for the remaining 70%, I need you to jointly set up a fund. Fund? Everyone was surprised, and one of them asked Charlie, "Do you mean that we should use the remaining money to set up a charity fund?" "No," Charlie waved his hand. "Letting you guys do charity, to be honest, is a slap in the face of charity." After that, he sighed and said with emotion, "I have been low-key in the past 2 years. Otherwise the best way for me to deal with people like you is to cut your whole body with wounds. Put them all in an iron cage, weld the iron cage, and throw it into the Yangtze River. Let those carnivorous fish eat your flesh and leave you with only bones." Charlie said lightly. But it frightened these upper-class people, whose hands were stained with the blood of innocent girls. They did not doubt the authenticity of Charlie's words at all. And they even believed that Charlie must have done something similar. Matt asked nervously, "Mr. Wade, what is the nature of the fund you are talking about?" Charlie sneered and said, "I want you to register a fund organization in a lawless place. All the funds of this fund organization will be used to buy Bitcoin. These Bitcoin will be used to offer rewards to the world through the underground network. Whoever exposes those criminals like you who have killed innocent women, but are at large, will get a reward. Whoever kills them will get more rewards." At this point, Charlie's eyes were full of murderous intent, and he said coldly, "Let me give you an example. If there are still people in the United States who are doing the same thing as you, if someone exposes it and the evidence is conclusive, he can be rewarded with $5 million. If anyone can expose those criminals who are at large, he can get a reward of $5 million. If you kill the foreign lunatics, you will be rewarded with $5 million for each person killed. If there are too many such people, and there is no money in the fund in the end, you will invest another $100 million each." Matt was shocked and blurted out, "Mr. Wade, This is a blatant hiring of murderers. If it is investigated by the FBI or other countries, we may be in big trouble. Steve on the side frowned, raised his hand, and slapped him hard on the face, cursing. You son of a bitch, when you hired a killer to kill Tawana before. Why didn't you think there would be big trouble? Now you are afraid of trouble, right? Matt didn't expect Steve to attack him directly. His face was burning with pain. And his heart was even more terrified. He realized that he had no way out at the moment. Without Steve's protection, he might not survive tomorrow. And these people present would probably find someone to kill him as soon as possible. What is he afraid of offending others now? As long as he doesn't offend Steve and Charlie, nothing else matters. Even if he is wanted worldwide by the police. With Steve's protection, at least he won't die. Chapter 66-87. After thinking through his situation, Matt was the first to express his opinion. Since Mr. Wade has said so, I firmly support it. I will pay the $1 billion. The other people looked at each other with extremely ugly expressions. One of them asked him, Mr. Wade, will this matter be written off after we take out this money? Charlie said calmly, it can be written off. But the fact that you used the money to set up this fund also applies to you. In other words, if you guys go back to your old business in the future, the reward will also be useful to you. Once someone exposes your criminal facts, he can also get a reward. If someone kills you, he can also get a reward. The man was extremely depressed and said, it is really unfair for us to do this. We paid the money, and we will be restricted in the future. And we may even hire someone with our own money to kill us. This is unreasonable. Charlie looked at him and asked, according to you, you will still do this kind of thing in the future, right? The other party muttered in a low voice. I think we play these behind closed doors and it won't affect anyone. It's just that some BA5 tards like Matt organize us to play and take pictures of us at the same time, trying to control us and finally expose these things to become a scandal. Otherwise, we are having fun and have nothing to do with the outside world. Steve frowned and scolded. Hank, you F-seeking better watch your words, okay? You are talking to Mr. Wade now. Show some due respect. The other party saw Steve the husband had a murderous look on his face and was even more depressed. He simply gave it a go and said, Mr. Rothschild, I respect you very much. And I also respect Mr. Wade, but everything must be reasonable. We have never done anything illegal in China. If we are called to China by Mr. Wade to criticize and threaten us, and even our future actions and other countries will be subject to his jurisdiction. Isn't this unreasonable? Steve said coldly, since it is what Mr. Wade said, it must be reasonable. You don't think about how to make money. Your mind is full of those dirty things. Don't forget that you also have children and grandchildren. Mr. Rothschild, I don't have such great ambitions. And money doesn't have to be very, very much for me. I just want to live a free life in the future. Is there anything wrong with that? As for my children and grandchildren, if it weren't for TCH like Matt shooting videos, my children and grandchildren would never know what I did on those islands. I was a playboy when I left home, and a good husband. A good father and a good grandfather when I returned home. Isn't that the case for everyone? Although the other people didn't dare to speak directly, they all looked in agreement. Charlie said lightly at this time, I am a person who likes to meddle in other people's business. Before I knew about these bad things, how you play in the United States has nothing to do with me. But now that I know, I have to take care of it. Chapter 66-88. After that, he looked at the other party and sneered. You like to play, right? Then I will make you lose the capital for playing from now on. If you still want to play in the future, you can consider being played by others instead of playing others. The man was frightened and didn't know what Charlie meant by this. He didn't realize that Charlie had transferred a special power into his body. In the beginning, he would completely lose his masculine power from now on. Steve looked at Charlie and said respectfully, "Mr. Wade, I won't drink with this BA5 tard. In my opinion, it's better to let him go to Mr. Hong's dog farm to reflect on himself." Charlie smiled and said, "You really know how to make trouble for Orville. These people have entered China openly through formal procedures. And they came to Classic Mansion in a swagger. I don't know how many surveillance cameras they have. You let Orville take them to the dog farm. Isn't this causing trouble for Orville?" Steve gritted his teeth and said, "I just can't stand his appearance. It's okay. I'll deal with him when I return to the United States." The man named Hank was nervous and said with a sad face, "Mr. Rothschild, I just said a few words from my heart. I didn't mean anything else." Steve wanted to scold him, but Charlie interrupted him, looked around, and asked them, "Do you all think that it is your freedom to play with others on those islands in private?" No one dared to admit it, but no one denied it. They are all people whose lifestyles and tastes have evolved into abnormalities. The ordinary lifestyle can no longer satisfy them. If they are not allowed to do that kind of thing in the future, their lives will lose a lot of fun, and even in their opinion, life will be boring. This is like the difference between ordinary smokers and drug addicts. These people are like those drug addicts who have been poisoned to death. Not to mention smoking, even injecting drugs can no longer satisfy them. In this case, Charlie's request to them just now is equivalent to forcing them to quit drugs. Charlie himself also understood this truth. He smiled and waved his hand in the air towards the crowd. The invisible spiritual energy flew everywhere and drilled into the bodies of these people. Then, Charlie said calmly, "Forget it, I'll give you 1 day for this matter. Go back and think about it carefully. If you find that there is something wrong with yourself tomorrow, remember, this is all thanks to your friend who boldly expressed his dissatisfaction just now. I will hold a banquet here tomorrow night. If you decide to accept my suggestion tomorrow, come to the banquet, and Steve will entertain you on my behalf. But if you come tomorrow, the amount each person has to pay will increase from $100 million to $1 billion. These people were confused and had no idea what Charlie meant. Charlie asked them to go back and think about it themselves. Could it be that they don't have to pay even the $100 million? Hank took the risk and asked him directly, "Mr. Wade, if we don't accept your proposal, are you going to let Matt make those videos public and ruin our reputation?" Charlie smiled and said, "That would be boring. Don't worry, whether you accept it or not, I will not let Matt expose your behavior. You just need to think carefully about whether to accept my proposal today or tomorrow. If you accept it today, it will be $100 million as I said just now. And it will become $1 billion tomorrow. If you accept it today, remember to register with Steve." After that, he stood up and said to Steve, "Steve, I won't sit down to eat with these perverts. Remember to register. Whether it's today or tomorrow, you will be the one to register. In addition, each of them will have to pay $10 million for today's meal. Please collect the money for me and give it directly to Orville after collecting it. I'm leaving first." Chapter 66-89. Charlie suddenly stood up and left, which made Steve very angry with these people. These people really refused to accept the toast and didn't even give Charlie a face. They really didn't know how to write the word death. So, he said in a cold voice, "Remember, except for Matt, all of you are enemies of me. The other people cried and begged for mercy. Although they were begging for mercy, they also had their own scales in their hearts. You, Steve, at most squeezed us in business. We, a bunch of perverts, have long been not short of money. Compared with making money, we are more willing to satisfy our inner perverted desires. After all, these people are already very perverted, so they can't be measured by normal business thinking. In their view, agreeing to Charlie's request is really a dead end. If they can't control their perverted desires, they have to spend money to set up a fund to strangle perverts like themselves. Isn't this equivalent to buying a gun and shooting yourself in the head? Excessive demands. No matter what you say, you can't agree. So, one of them said, "Mr. Rothschild, please understand our difficulties. We really can't accept Mr. Wade's unreasonable request. Since this meal is so unhappy, we won't bother you here. How do you think we should pay the 10 million meal fee? We will not default on this money." Steve picked up the bottle and smashed it to the ground. The rich smell of sauce-flavored liquor instantly filled the whole box. He swept his eyes coldly over everyone and said coldly, "All of you get out of here immediately. I will arrange for my assistant to ask you for the money. Get out. Get out now." Everyone looked at each other, and finally, Hank stood up first and bowed, saying, "In that case, Mr. Rothschild, we will take our leave first." After that, he exchanged glances with the others and turned to walk out of the box. Steve was almost furious. After the group of people left, he gnashed his teeth and cursed. "These bastards who want to kill their own birds. They made me uncomfortable in the first mission that Mr. Wade gave me when I came here this time. If I don't find a chance to kill them, I don't deserve the surname Rothschild." After that, he stood up and said to Tawana, who was at a loss, "Miss Sweet, I'm leaving first." Charlie had already driven back to Thompson. Today's group of perverts made him realize that some people can sacrifice a lot for the things they love most, and even offend the second person in the Rothschild family. However, he was not worried that these people would not give in, because he had sealed the special meridians in these people's bodies with true chi. From now on, these people will become completely impotent. It's very similar to Fred Men at the beginning. In fact, it's even worse than Fred Men, because Charlie's control over the spiritual energy was stronger. After the meridians were sealed, they could not feel any pleasure at all. In other words, their bodies no longer had the possibility of experiencing any pleasure. And this group of perverts did not intend to abstain from S3X when they came to Aurus Hill this time. Each of them had their own companions in their entourage, and even brought a lot of medicines and props, just to be able to release themselves in the hotel. And this night was destined to be a nightmare for these perverts. Before each of them did something shameful, they found that they had completely lost their functions. Some older people thought it was caused by the long journey, so they increased the usual dosage. Chapter 6690. However, after taking 2 or 3 times the medicine, their blood pressure soared, their whole body trembled, and they even felt their hair stand up. But the medicine still had no effect. The first one to have a problem was Hank, accompanied by 3 young women. He took 6 blue pills in a row, but his body still didn't feel good. He was a little annoyed, and while stuffing more pills into his mouth with his baby dotut, he cursed and said, "Today is really fucking weird. What's going on? Is it because of Steve and that BA5 tard named Wade?" After that, he stuffed another pill into his mouth. Mostly when people take painkillers such as acetaminophen or ibuprofen, they often follow the doctor's advice, or the rules of taking them in the instructions one at a time. But some people don't care about these at all, and he is one of them. Damn the doctor's instructions and instructions. I just take the medicine by the handful. Either 1 handful at a time or 2 handfuls at a time. Who has the time to take so many pills? Hank is the same at this time. The blue pills are finished after 1 or 2 at a time. He took 1 plate after another and it was not enough. He wanted to take more. One of the women saw that he took too much and said hurriedly, "Master, you can't take the medicine anymore. You have taken too much. You are so outrageous." Hank picked up the whip and whipped the woman hard, directly whipping her skin and flesh, kneeling on the ground, and crying. Hank said coldly, "Don't forget that you are all my slaves. When will it be your turn to command the master?" After saying that, the blood surged, the blood pressure soared. And the person suddenly fainted due to high blood pressure. The 3 young women were scared to death, and hurried to ask for help from the hotel. The hotel came with emergency personnel, and even used a defibrillator. But still couldn't solve the problem. So they wrapped him in a bathrobe, and rushed him to the hospital for rescue. And he was not the only one who went to the hospital for rescue tonight. Not long after, another old man with white hair was also sent to the hospital for taking an overdose of drugs. At about 12 o'clock in the morning, 4 of the dozen people had been sent in. Because they all lived in the city center, closest to the People's Hospital. These 4 people were sent to the emergency center of the People's Hospital. The emergency doctors at the People's Hospital were confused and couldn't understand why 4 old men, who had overdosed on sildenafil, were sent in one after another in the middle of the night. While the doctors were busy giving them gastric lavage, and vomiting, and infusing them with sustained-release drugs. They were also whispering to each other. "Are these foreigners here for a party? Why are they all taking an overdose of that drug? Should we call the police?" A doctor said, "Oh, it's better to have less trouble than more. They are all foreign friends. Give them some face. Don't call the police first. Just rescue them. I think their symptoms are okay. Wash their stomachs and give them infusions. They will be almost fine tomorrow." Everyone thought it made sense, and didn't say anything more. Unexpectedly, a nurse rushed in from outside and said nervously, "Oh no, another person was sent in from outside. It is said that he also fainted from an overdose of drugs. He is only in his 40s, and his heart has stopped beating." "Oh my." The director of the emergency department said immediately, "Hurry up and save the one with cardiac arrest first. Dr. Zhong, call 110 immediately. This is a bit too serious."